All right, so we're going to start off lying on our backs. Have a block and a ball within reach. If you don't have a block, if you don't have a ball, then a rolled up blanket. So we're going to start off by trying to invite the body and the nervous system to settle in and ground. And fortunately, just lying your body on the ground can trigger your nervous system to let go a little. Because if you think about all the muscles that need to be engaged when we're standing or sitting, here we're lying down, so some of those postural muscles can just relax and let go. And take a moment to just notice the breath as it flows in and out of your body. Increasing the awareness to what's going on inside your body. We call this introspection. And just notice where you feel the breath most concentrated. And now let your attention travel to the belly. As you breathe in, let the belly rise. And then exhale, let the belly deflate. So this is what we call zone 3 in our breathing into the belly. And this is the most relaxing to the nervous system. And then the second zone is going to be across the mid part of the torso, across the lower ribs. So we're going to transition. As you breathe in, the belly rises, and then let the breath travel to the ribs. And then release from the ribs, release from the belly. Just repeat this at a pace that's comfortable for you, with the intention of allowing the exhale, which cues the body to relax, to be a little bit longer than the inhale. And notice where you feel the breath in the body again. Do you feel it more in the front of the body or the back of the body? And I invite you to try to expand your breath and awareness into the back of the body. So as you breathe into the belly, can you visualize the breath coming into the lower back? And the same thing, when you bring the breath up to the ribs, you feel the ribs rise up, but can you feel them expand out to the sides and take up more room across your mat? So again, some of this may be new, and it takes practice. Just like if you're training to do runner's lunge, we have to have the right flexibility. We have to have the strength in the quads. This breath is a practice to strengthen the muscles that connect to the diaphragm. All right, we're going to add on with what's called the diaphragm vacuum. And I'll just cue this first. You breathe into the belly and the ribs. You exhale the breath. Now, this is the tricky part. Try to relax, keep the belly, keep the abdominals relaxed as you invite the ribs to separate and expand. So this is also similar to the Uddiyana Bandha. It's like the flying up action So if you think about the diaphragm, as you breathe in, it drops into the belly. And then as you exhale, it flies up underneath the ribs. That's the basic premise of this. But we're getting into a little bit more nuance. So I'll guide you a couple of more times, and then it works a lot better if you focus on your own breath rhythm. But I want to just guide you with some of the more subtle activations that you're going to try to bring into your body. So you breathe into belly and ribs. Exhale, ribs and belly. Hold the breath out. And then think about spreading the ribs apart. So visualize the diaphragm flying up underneath the ribs. And then let the breath come in. I'll do that a couple more times, maybe a little bit quicker so that it's not so much breath holding. Breathe in belly and ribs. Exhale completely. Hold the exhale out, and then think about trying to separate the ribs. Breath comes in, belly, ribs. Breath goes out. Hold the breath out. Think about separating the ribs. The extra challenge is trying to keep the belly soft. And then when you feel the desire for a breath, invite it into the belly and the ribs. So repeat this on your own. And again, sometimes working with your own sort of rhythm of a breath, you may find it a little bit easier. So that's what we call the diaphragm vacuum. And you may feel your core muscles. You're letting the belly release, but some of those deep muscles, you can feel them stretching as the diaphragm flies up underneath the ribs. All right, the next time you finish a round, just take a pause, return to your natural breath. And now you can either take the inflatable ball or a block and slide it under the sacrum. Now the block is going to be a little less stable, so a little more challenging. And just elevating the hips. It helps the blood and lymph travel to the heart, so your heart can just relax a little bit more. Inviting you into a little bit more of that parasympathetic nervous system mode. All right, let's try that diaphragm vacuum here. Breathe in belly and ribs. Exhale it all out. Retain the exhale. Spread the ribs. Breath comes in, belly and ribs. Exhale the breath. Hold it out. Spread the ribs. And invite the breath in. Do the last one on your own, with your own natural pace. And again, if this gets too confusing, if it's, too many busy parts, just breathe. All right, we're gonna add on here. On your inhale, the arms come up overhead. Exhale the breath out. Hold the breath out. Spread the ribs. Lower the arms to the sides. Breath in. Arms are overhead. Hold the breath out. Spread the ribs. Lower the arms to your sides. Next time you feel a breath in, arms rise overhead, belly and ribs expand. Let the breath out. Spread the ribs. Lower the arms to the sides. Last round. Inhale. Arms come overhead, belly and ribs expand with the breath. Exhale the breath, inflate the ribs. And then lower the arms to the sides. Now, if you've got that rolled up ball, arms come to the side and just sort of shift your hips from side to side. And if you have loose-waisted pants, you could do this on the block probably as well. I don't know if it's going to feel as smushy. If you can get the ball in contact with your skin, this helps to slowly just stretch the fascia, hydrate it a little bit more. So if you think about a lot of times when we feel discomfort, we might label it as aches and pains. A lot of times it's stiff muscles or stiff joints. And part of having pliable muscles is having the fascia hydrated and stretched. So here we're just gently, the hips are going side to side, and we're just massaging out the fascia along the lower back. And then come to center. Press into your feet, lift the hips, slide the ball out. Lower the hips down. Just take a moment, notice how the body feels. Right, now the next placement of the ball, I'm going to just give you a, we're going to be putting it like behind the shoulder blades. So you may need to let air out. You may want to just use a rolled up blanket or your yoga mat. Have your block nearby because you want your head supported. So you'll slide the block. I don't know if you can see. I don't know if it's helpful if I take this off. So the block is going like you would go, it's a little bit, slightly lower than if you were doing fish pose. But again, you want your head comfortable. So that's where you can just pop the pin in the ball and deflate it a little bit. Or you could roll up your mat. And so our shoulders sit on our ribs. And so if our ribs are tight, which again, for many people, this part of the ribs is quite tight, because there's just so many positions in our day-to-day activities that cause us to be slightly rounded. So we're just going to repeat that. Breathe into the belly and the ribs. Exhale it all out. We're going to add the diaphragm vacuum. Breathe in belly and ribs. Exhale out. And then separate the ribs while holding the breath out until you need a breath in. You inflate the belly and the ribs. Exhale. Hold the breath out. Stretch the ribs apart. Last one, invite the breath in. Exhale, hold the breath out. Stretch the ribs, try to keep the belly soft. And invite the breath in. And now take your hands behind your head and clasp them. Rest your head in the back of your hands. And If it feels comfortable to lift your head a little bit, just to give you a little bit of movement, you're just going to roll from side to side. And again, this is going to be probably a little less stretchy if you're doing it on a blanket as opposed to a rolled up ball. But you're still hydrating, and just the palpation on this area can help to downregulate the nervous system. Just a couple more breaths here. So this is zone 2. Right, while you're upright, you'll just slide slightly to the side to remove your prop. Come onto your back. Just take a couple of breaths. Maybe noticing if there's any shift in the quality of your breath. Shift in the amount of ease in the breath. And now when you're ready, we're going to transition to table. So you could rock up, roll to your side, whatever you're feeling. And just notice how your spine feels. Just invite some intuitive movement here. You could do cat and cow, or maybe you take something that is a little more dimensional, allowing you to get into the side body. So a lot of our movements, our day-to-day movements, are front and back. We don't move side to side that often. So we might lose connections with some of the muscles involved. So it's just a nice gentle way to say hello to them. Say hello to your side body. We're going to transition to a wide-legged child's pose. Now, if this bothers your knees, you could take blocks. If you have just one knee problem, you could take one ball or a bolster or rolled up blanket and stretch back to your wide-legged child's pose. And just let the body gently flow from side to side. And when you're ready, you can find stillness. Maybe the head rests on the hands, maybe a block. Now breathe into the back body. So we've been talking a lot about how this time of the year, we're transitioning to the Vata in terms of climate. It's colder, it's windier, and this can cause an increase in, stiffness and tightness in the body. So let's direct our breath into the lower back. And sometimes, as we were talking about in the beginning, having a lot of stretching to a muscle when it's not ready. Sometimes the muscle will talk back. Here, we're inviting the breath from the inside out to do gentle stretching in the lower back, along the side ribs, maybe the back of the hips. And now when you're ready, you're going to extend the arms out, come up through table. Round the spine for a gentle cat pose. You arch your spine and then you press back to your child's pose. Inhale, round the spine, come up into your cat pose. Arch the spine, press back into your puppy or child's pose. And just now flow with your breath. Probably going to pick the pace up a little bit faster than I was going. And this can be a nice pose to do with your eyes closed, where you just really sort of focus on the rhythmic movement of the spine. Now, include the neck in the spine. Let the neck move. And you could do this in a seated position as well, just sort of rounding the spine and arching the spine. You know, if it hurts to put weight in the hands. All right, and then come to neutral in your table. And extend the left leg back. And you've got the ball of the foot touching the floor, and you're pressing through the heel, stretching out the calf, and then you soften. A little pulse press, and then soften. Your gaze is down towards the floor. Your neck is long. You're pressing into the hands to take pressure out of the shoulders. Now think about sliding the shoulders away from your ears. And then you pause. Float the left leg up. Core is engaged. Maybe extend the right arm forward. Press more into the left hand to pick up on the, the workload that the right arm has created. And then lower down. Extend the right leg back. A little press and release. Now core is engaged, and because you don't want to have an excess arch in the lower back. And then you pause. Float the right leg up, level off the hips. Press into the arms. Slide the shoulders away from the ears. And then maybe you extend the left arm. Now, if your shoulder's bothering you, you may want to not have this much weight on the right arm. So please make adjustments. And then you lower down. Let's just do a little wrist stretch. Take your hand, flip it upside down. I'm starting with my right hand. See if you can stretch the thumb and the pinky to touch the floor. And let's do the other side. You flip upside down. And come back to the center. Let's do a couple of cat and cows. Inhale, you arch the spine. Exhale, you round. One more time, and we're going to add the diaphragm vacuum here. So inhale, you arch the spine. Exhale, you round. Hold the exhale. Separate the ribs. And then when you feel the inhale, come into a neutral spine. All right, let's walk ourselves back to the back of the mat. And slowly come into a forward fold. Nice deep knee forward fold. Relax the head, the neck, the jaw. Hands come onto the thighs as you slowly make your way up. Once you get to the back of your mat, if you still have your socks on, you may want to take them off. Not too cold. Just so you have better traction here. All right, so we're going to make our way to the front of our space. Now, be very mindful of the knees, how much they're flexing. And I would say, especially if you're nursing an injury, you want to err on the side of less. So we're going to step the right foot forward. You bend the knee and also dip the back knee. Press into this right leg, lift the left leg, step forward again. And I'm just going to suggest that you sort of walk around your space a couple of times with this. This can be a nice quad stretch. Also, if you're going really slow, it's going to be a balance challenge. But again, you want to be careful of your knees. This is weight bearing, so you want to try to keep the knee from going in front of the toes. Now, if you want to increase your challenge here, arms rise up. You might find that makes it a little bit more tricky for balance.
Space to do this.
Yeah, it's a little tricky, yeah. So we'll just end up back at let's meet up at the front of our mat. All right, inhale, reach up, gentle back bend. On your exhale, fold forward. Press into the legs, nice long spine. Step the right leg back for warrior one. And take the time just to maybe widen your feet a little bit so you feel nice and secure in your lower body. Arms rise up. Now straighten the knee as you lower the arms. We'll do this 3 times. This can be a nice way to warm up the joints, get some heat into the muscles, and then you pause here. We're going to try the diaphragmatic breath here. Breathe in belly and ribs. Exhale. Separate the ribs. And then allow the breath in. 2 more times. You breathe in. Exhale. Separate the ribs. And then breathe in. One last one. Just do it at your own pace. And we'll just meet up in our warrior one. Step forward and release. Step the left leg back. All right, so before we get into repeating this, I just want to check in. Are there any questions? Because this is different than what we've done. I want to just see if there's any questions on this. Okay. So we'll flow in and out of this. Arms are up, and then you straighten and lower and bend and reach. After your 3rd time, pause here. Breathe in. Breathe out. Think about separating the ribs and see if you can relax the belly as you do that. And then next breath in and breath out. Separate the ribs. Breath in. Breath out. Spread the ribs apart. And breath in. Nice. Step forward and release. And you'll reach up, gentle back bend. Pause here. Flip the right palm up towards the ceiling and then stretch to your left. Now again, we talked in the beginning about how we have a tendency to go forward and back. So see if you can have your hips level, your shoulders level. So the tendency is for the right shoulder to be forward. So just consider that and maybe roll the shoulder back a little bit and notice if that changes the stretch. Breathe in. Breathe out. Hold the breath out, separate the ribs. Inhale back through center. Switch sides. On your exhale, arch towards the other direction. Again, maybe roll that top shoulder back. Breathe in. Breathe out. Hold the breath out. Separate the ribs. Let the breath in. Back to center. Release the arms down. Roll out the shoulders here. Inhale. Gentle back bend. Exhale, fold halfway. Press into the legs, nice long spine. Right leg steps back for warrior two. And take the time, opening up the hips. So most of us don't end up stepping into the exact right position that our feet should be. So take the time to find your alignment, especially first time around. Inhale the arms up and out. And flow 3 times in and out. And pause. Breathe in. Breathe out. Hold the breath out. Separate the ribs with your breath. And breathe in. Flip the front palm and reverse. Breathe in. Breathe out. Hold the breath out. Separate the ribs. Breathe in. Back through warrior two. Windmill the hands to the front. Step the back foot up to meet the front. Inhale, rise, gentle back bend. Exhale, hands to your hips. Step the left leg back for warrior two on the other side. Inhale, reach the arms up, extend them out. 3 times, in and out here. You'll pause after the third one. Breathe in. Breathe out. Hold the breath out. Diaphragm back in. Invite the breath in. Flip the right palm and reverse. Breathe in. Breathe out. Separate the ribs with the breath. Breathe in. Back to warrior two. Windmill the hands, step to the front of your space. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, fold halfway. Press into the legs, nice long spine. Right leg steps back, come into your warrior two. Flow with your breath 3 times. Pause after your third round. Hands come to the hips. Just dial the back foot in a little bit more for triangle pose. And then take your left hand either above or below the knee. And then spin that right hip, right shoulder. Right arm comes up. Begin to straighten that left foot. Breathe in. Breathe out. Hold the breath out. Can you separate your ribs? Breath in. Rise up. Do a quick little reverse to stretch out the side body that was just compressed. Invite the blood flow there. Inhale back to center. Rebend the front knee and just step. Inhale, rise, gentle back bend. Exhale, fold halfway. Press into the legs. Nice long spine. Left leg steps back, warrior two. 3 rounds, in and out. You're welcome to close your eyes and focus on the inner sensations and feelings. Your pause. Hands to the hips, dial the back foot in. Setting up for triangle. Right hand either above or below the knee. Roll the left hip and shoulder back. Left arm extends and you begin to straighten that right leg. Breathe in. Breathe out. Hold the breath out. Like breath in. Rise up. And reverse your triangle. Nice, back to center, slight bend in the front knee. Windmill the hands, stab to the front of your space. Inhale, rise, gentle back bend. Exhale, hands to the hips. Right leg steps back for crescent lunge. So if you can, the ball of the back foot and your hips are both facing forward. Take a couple of deep breaths here. Now, if you're feeling steady, arms rise up. This is going to challenge your balance, though. Breathe in. Breathe out. Hold the breath out and separate the ribs. Breathe in. Now flow with your breath. Arms and torso come forward. And then inhale, you rise 3 times. Keeping the core engaged. So imagine the front hip points there's a little zipper there, a little drawstring that's drawing them towards each other. Then pause after 3 times. Flip the right palm up to the ceiling. Grab the wrist and stretch to your left. Breathe in. Breathe out. Hold the breath out. Spread the ribs. And then inhale in. Come back to center. Separate the hands and step forward. Inhale, rise. Gentle back bend. Exhale, fold halfway. Press into the legs, nice long spine. Step the left leg back. There's your crescent lunge. Again, take the time to adjust your feet so that you feel balanced, and you're welcome to have a wall that you're standing on, or that you're you're resting your hands on. And then if you feel ready, arms rise up. If you feel like you're balanced and stable here, breathe in, breathe out. Hold the breath out. Inflate the ribs. There's that Uddiyana Bandha diaphragm vacuum. And then breathe in. And then 3 times. Arms and torso draw forward. And then rise up. And so this is where you want to check in. Make sure you're feeling the core in the front and that there's no discomfort in the lower back. If the front core muscles aren't engaged, sometimes this action spills into the lower back and it doesn't feel good there. Pause after 3 rounds. Flip the left palm up to the ceiling. Grab the wrist, stretch to the right. Breathe in. Exhale, hold the breath out. Diaphragm flies up under the ribs. Inhale, back to center. Step forward and release. All right, how's everybody doing?
That's good.
All right. So we'll just do a couple more standing poses and then we'll head to the floor. So start by stepping the right leg back. You're in warrior two. Inhale the arms, open up and stretch. And 3 times, in and out. All right, hands come to the hips. And then we're going to come into sort of a squat prep position where toes are turned out, heels are in. And again, be very mindful of the knees. You don't want to go so deep that it causes any discomfort. You just kind of sort of let your weight go from left foot to right foot as you slowly kind of slink down. And think about lengthening that tailbone and engaging the core. Breathe in. Breathe out. Diaphragm flies up, separates the ribs. Inhale. 2 more times at your own pace with that breath. Just be mindful that the shoulders, that you're not bringing the breath into the zone 3. So especially on the hold, just a gentle reminder to keep the shoulders relaxed. And when you're complete, just slowly straighten the legs. Heel toe the feet together. And then we're going to step, you can take a little hop turn to the front of your mat. And then we're going to come into warrior two on the other side. So left leg steps back. Arms stretch up and out. Flow in and out 3 times. And you pause here. Hands come to the hips. And one more time, we come into that sumo squat type position. This time, arms reach up, elbows bend. You have those goalpost arms. Again, tailbones lengthening, cores engaged. Breathe in. Breathe out. Hold the breath out. Diaphragm flies up under the ribs. And then you breathe in. Do that 2 more times on your own. Release when you're ready. And just heel toe the feet together. Take a little hop turn. And we're going to come to the mat if you want to put socks or layers on. I don't think Doug has been here since we've been doing our pigeon alternative. We'll take some time to do that. And we'll start. Have your hands behind you. And your knees are wide. And you're just going to let them flow side to side here. So we've already done a little bit of warm up for the hips. This action can be quite deep, quite a deep stretch for the hips. So just giving them a little preview of where you're asking them to go. All right, next time your knees are dropped to the right, pause here. So you have sort of this 90-90. You want to try to draw your belly button towards that right thigh. And the The right foot is flexed. Press into the right foot and the right shin. And just notice what happens. What happens in the hip, what happens in the leg. When you press in, you may feel some muscles being activated. And you can come up on your fingertips. And then you begin to tip forward. Not all the way, just until you feel the first point of stretch. And you're going to breathe here. And you're going to try to let go of any muscles that don't have to be engaged. And then if you feel like the muscles have released, then come a little bit deeper. All right, now we're going to try that diaphragm vacuum here. Breathe in. And breathe out. Hold the breath out. Diaphragm flies underneath the ribs. Relax the shoulders. Try to soften the belly as much as you can. And then let the breath in. Rise up. You can use your hands this first round to transition towards the left. And just repeat what we did on the right. You're pressing into the left foot, left shin. Navel is lined up towards the left thigh. On your exhale, you begin to tip forward. Now just notice where you feel the stretch. If you're tipping more towards the foot, you're going to feel something different than if you tip towards the thigh. So you can kind of play around with this. Play around with your tipping direction. And if you feel the muscles soften, if you feel more room is available, then maybe you drop down a little bit further. Try to relax the neck and the jaw. Now we'll do that diaphragm vacuum. Breathe in. And breathe out. Hold the breath out. Diaphragm flies under the ribs. And breath in. All right, rise up. Now, if you want, you can try transitioning using your core rather than your hands. You float through center and to the right. And again, you can keep your hands here rather than having them down. Press into the foot, into the shin. And then exhale, you begin to tip forward. And you might find that without the floor, you're not going as far. Breathe in. Exhale. Hold the breath out. Breathe in. Inhale through center and to the other side. On your exhale, begin to fold forward. You're pressing into the foot and the shin. Breathe in. Exhale. Diaphragm flies under the ribs. Invite the breath in. Rise up through center. We'll just extend the legs long. A little shake, shake. Draw your right leg in. So you can keep it here. We're going to be doing Matsyendrasana, which is the twist, or you can cross it over the left leg if that feels okay. So we're hugging our shin, nice long spine. Without looking, inhale the left arm and you're going to place it behind you. So you're not going to look at where you're putting it. You're just going to let it feel its way. And you want to use this to keep your spine long. If you're having trouble keeping your spine long, maybe you take the foot further away from you. Inhale, nice long breath. On your exhale, begin to twist towards the left. Wait a minute, I think I'm doing this wrong. Sorry. Let's come back to the center, twisting wrong way. Right arm reaches up without looking. Place it behind you. Left hand can come to the shin or the outside of the knee. Inhale, get length. And then exhale, begin to twist. And enjoy a few inhale and exhales. Maybe coming a little bit deeper on each exhale. All right, now this can be quite interesting to do a diaphragm vacuum when you're twisted. Breathe in. Breathe out. Diaphragm flies under the ribs. Breathe in. Exhale, come through center, a little counter stretch. Back through center, we'll do the other side. So you can hug the left leg to the inside or cross it over. You might notice when you cross it over, you get a little bit more stretch on the outer hip. Maybe that's a good thing for you, maybe it's not, so that's why there's that option. And then left hand, you reach up, place it behind you. Breathe in. And begin to twist towards your left. And each breath, maybe you release, or each exhale, I should say, maybe you release a little deeper into the twist. Let's try the diaphragm vacuum this way. Breathe in. Exhale. Hold the breath out. Spread the ribs. Breathe in. And unwind. Take a counter stretch in the other direction. Back to center. All right, let's come down onto our backs. And it's a good idea to add layers of clothing. Maybe have a blanket handy for Shavasana as we are entering the Vata season, because colds can interfere with the body's ability to relax. So have everything that you need handy. Once you come down onto the ground, allow your body to receive the floor underneath you. Draw that left knee in. Give it a little hug. Just a little extend, flex the foot, and then bend, point the toe. Just do that a couple of times. Not like your leg is yawning. And then pause, extend the right leg long. Now up to you. Staying here. This is the more relaxed option, and we are getting close to relaxation. So if you want to just stay on that train. If you would like to have a little bit more core activation before we settle into relaxation, allow your right leg to lift and hover, maybe 3 or 4 inches. Now continue to breathe. And try to keep the lower back connected to the floor. And then lower the right leg down. That left knee come across the body for your spinal twist. Left arm can extend out. And you can, if your shoulders suspended and unrelaxed, you could bend the elbow, just let the hand rest on the ribs. And then if you want to try that diaphragm vacuum on your own, and take this opportunity. Finishing up your breath and coming through to the center when you're ready. There's no hurry. I'm going to pause here for a few breaths. So you're doing the diaphragm vacuums. Finish up the breaths. And draw the right knee in, and let's just make some circles here. Just a little release for the hips and the lower back. Feel your lower back going into extension and flexion. And you'll pause, lower the left foot, clasp behind the right, and a little extension and then flexion of the right knee. Extend the left leg. And I invite you to do what you did on the first side, whether you lie here or you could float that left leg up. Release the leg down. And take that right knee across the body. And you're welcome to do a couple of rounds of that diaphragm vacuum if you like. Maybe you're in the chill zone and you don't want to think about that. You want to just let your breath be passive. This is where you get to check inside, see what it is your body wants and needs. And finishing up your breath, coming back to the center, hugging that right knee in for a few breaths. Bending the right leg long, extending the arms overhead, taking a full body stretch. Just checking in, seeing if there's a final posture that you'd like to take before Shavasana. And when you're ready, there's no hurry. This part of the practice, I think, is especially important to check in and notice what you need and offer it to yourself. Shavasana, the ultimate relaxation pose. But sometimes it's the most challenging. Chitta vritti is what translates to monkey mind. And it can become most active when we are inactive. The breath can be a great tool to use to keep your mind occupied. Maybe doing a controlled count of inhaling for 4, holding for 2, exhaling for 6, holding the breath out for 2, and then repeating, just a suggestion. Allow your next breath to be a little longer and a little deeper. Noticing if any physical sensations change with this slightly longer, slightly deeper breath. Perhaps you invite some gentle movements, maybe wiggling your fingers or toes. When you're ready, you can slowly make your way over onto your side. Just noticing how the body feels as it begins to move away from the floor. When you're ready, you can gently press your way up to seated, perhaps trying to move without your eyes opening. And so we talked in the beginning about down-regulating our nervous system, maybe trying to appease anxiety before a trip. And one of the mechanisms of vagal toning is humming. So I thought maybe we could close with 3 rounds of just a mmm. So if you'd like to join me, take a deep breath in. Mm. 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 Namaste. Thank you guys.